Hello friends, welcome back to BlockTribe. In this video, we'll be learning about payables in Solidity. Payable functions are something which makes Ethereum and Solidity so cool. They are special functions which help to receive ethers. So before moving ahead, until now we have covered a few function modifiers. I know it is hard for a person to remember all of them, so let's go through and see how does payable fit into function modifiers. Until now, we have covered a few function modifiers. So let's quickly run through and check what all we have covered in function modifiers. We have visibility modifiers, which control how the functions can be called from. Private is only callable from other functions inside the contract. Internal is just like private, but it can also be called by contract that inherit it. External can only be called from outside the contract. And finally, public. Public can be called from anywhere. So these are types of visibility modifiers. We also have state modifiers, which tell us how the function interacts with the blockchain. View tells us that by running the function, no data will be saved or changed. Pure tells us not only does the function not save any data on to the blockchain, but it also does not read any data from the blockchain. Both of these do not cost any gas if they are called externally from outside the contract, but they do cost gas if they are called internally by another function. So I have created a separate video on this. If you want, I'll place the link in the I button. Now we have custom modifiers. We have learned about these as well. For these, we can define custom logic to determine how they affect a function. I have created a separate video on this as well. I'll put the link of the video in the I button. Please make sure to check it out. It's a very important video as per Solidity point of view. Now let's move ahead how the function modifiers are used in syntax. Here what we are doing, we are creating an external, we are creating a view, we are creating only owner, we are creating another modifier which is like a custom or anything which you want to create. This is how you call function modifiers in Solidity. So let's move ahead and check what are payables. Payables are functions which let you send ethers in Solidity. You are not allowed to send US dollars or ethers when you make a function call. But in Solidity, with the help of payable modifiers, you can do so. This is what makes Ethereum and Solidity so cool. Because the money, the ethers, the data, which is the transactional payload, and the code itself or the contract code lives on Ethereum. That is why it is able to send ethers or money when you transact. So let's move ahead and see how we can create functions and variables as payable. So let's start by taking a basic example where we want to create a function which we want to make it as payable. And by payable, you already know that payable allows you to send and receive ether on the particular address which you want it to send. And if a function is not payable, it won't let you do so. So let's start by creating a function send ETH function send ETH public. First, let us go ahead and deploy, and we see that we have got a function send ETH. Now if let's try to send 100 way. So when we deploy when we send this, right, so when now let's see the console. So it would say error. Now this is not so this function we have created, it's a simple specific it's a simple public function, but now we want to create it as payable. So what you do is you just write payable over here, and what happens now, this function has now become capable of sending ether or money to any address which you want it to. So let's go ahead and deploy, and you see, right, there's one more thing which I would point here is, if here the function if you see the button, right, it was orange in color, now it has become red here. So red function color the red color points to basically this function has become payable. Wherever the function the symbol is pointing to red, it means it's a payable function and it is capable of sending money. Now let's go ahead and try to send 100 way, and okay, so you see, right, we are able to send money over here. But now just to check, so we don't, as of now we don't have a mechanism to check whether we have received the payment or no. So let's try to create one function, get val, and we will write as public, and one more point which I would like to highlight over here is we cannot create this payable function as like a pure or view over here, because we ultimately we are doing some changes in the blockchain. We are writing some transactions on the blockchain, so we cannot make payable functions as view or public. View or pure. And adding to my point earlier, when we tried to send ether on the non-payable function, we got this error which says, note that the called function should be payable if you send value, and the value you send should be less than the current balance. So this is how you would get notified if it's not a payable function, and if it's a payable, you would get something like this. And now let's go ahead and create our get balance function. So let's return returns, and it would return UI int. And what do you want? You want to return you say address, and address, it would say this, and it would be des.balance. The error says function state mutability can be restricted to view. Okay, so let's create this function as view, and yeah, that's it. Now let's go ahead and deploy. Let's clear all these, and let's go ahead and deploy. So now what we get send ether and get balance as two functions. Now let's get the balance. It is 0 as of now. So let's try to send 100 VEI, and when we go ahead and send it, so now we should get 100 VEI as the balance. So you see, right, now what we have done is from this particular address DC4, we have sent 100 VEI. Using this payable function, it has gone, and in the check balance we have seen that we have received 100 VEI. So just to summarize, we have created a payable function, we have created a get balance function. In this function we have created it as payable, and we are able to send the VEI. And in this function we have return address and address dot this dot balance. Basically address dot this means the address we have deployed, and dot balance is basically we'll get the balance, how much what is the balance of the VEI in this particular address. Now when we have learned how to create functions as payable, let's move ahead and see how to create addresses as payable. Now let's create an address and say address ETH payable, and you want to create it as public. Now when you want to create this address as public payable, right, so you will have to write payable over here. And so one point to note is, if in this case, right, in case of a variable, if you write the payable here, right, it would start to show error. Basically you cannot write payable after public in case of variables, whereas in case of functions you can do the same. Basically you can cut and go ahead and check it yourself as well and see. So here it does not give error, but in case of address it starts to give error. And one more thing which we need to note in address variables are basically the value which you would put into these variables, right, you will have to typecast them as well into payables, otherwise it won't be logical. So let's see how to typecast address payable variable as the value as payable. So let's take message.sender, and you would say this as, so this is how you would create this message.sender address as payable, and this value would again then be assigned to this ETH payable address. So this is how you generally make addresses or variables payable. So yeah guys, that's it for the video. We have seen how to create addresses as payable. We have seen how to create functions as payable. So this is it for the video. Please do like, share and subscribe for more. And if you have any doubts, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you.